Welcome to Crack the Friendship Code. I am your host, Theodora Voss, and my pronouns are her, she, hers. I'm seated against a white wall with vinyl records hanging up behind me. I have curly blonde hair today, and I'm a Black woman with a dark and warm skin tone. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're seasoned here, nice to see you again. I've been in the learning and development industry for over 13 years, and I've contracted for some of the largest companies in tech. I love learning and I love teaching. And I've experienced so much of my own loss in life, from losing my mom at age 13 to my best friend passing away and going through a divorce at the age of 26. So I understand the importance of developing genuine friendships as a result. And all of these experiences and lessons birth what you see now as Crack the Friendship Code. On our show, you're going to hear from myself and other women who have achieved success in different levels of their lives, whether it be career, business, or passions. And along the way, we have all discovered the importance of aligning our friendships with our purpose. And our hopes are that you too can ignite purpose aligned friendships and have more meaningful and genuine friendships. And with that, let me introduce today's guest. Every woman on our show is nothing short of amazing and wildly successful, and Joy is no different. So, meet Joy, the owner of a growing business called Be the Difference Clothing. This company was established in August of 2013. Most, if not all, designs are created to inspire those who see and wear the designs. Some designs are inspired by personal experiences, and others from situations seen or heard. The moment she decided to print t shirts, she was driving home from an event when, for the first time in her life, she saw a person stuck. They were literally standing on the corner, bent backwards, just swaying a little. And after driving by, it hit her. She thought to herself, what am I doing? I am no different than the next person who just says to themselves, wow, so sad. I could no longer stomach being the passerby. It took guts, and she battled the fear of being rejected to create the Addiction Kills the Family design. And with that, welcome, Joy.
Hi, how are you? My name is Joy, and I'm she, her. And also, what I see in front of me is a nice little kitchen, and behind me are white walls. Also, I am wearing a red Determined t shirt. And girls, ladies, gentlemen, and youth, I just got my hair did, so I'm over here swinging it back and forth. Okay. And nothing short of just absolutely feeling grateful that life has allowed me to reach the level that I'm at. And it's not even just about success, it's about the level of maturity and growth that I've been able to have because I am open and willing and able to learn more about nature, life, and love. So hopefully, if you have never decided to do so, you will be inspired to find out what your purpose is through the things that we do not see. So that's just me in a little nutshell.
Through the things we do not see. Come on now. She's already started. Here we go. All right now. Okay, Joy. So let's okay, you really teed us up nicely here. So as everybody knows on our show, we talk a lot about purpose, and sometimes people mistake career and purpose as being synonymous, which is not necessarily in like the monetary success, or it's not necessarily the vehicle that you get there into, but it's about being able to fulfill certain purposes, certain elements of your purpose through that vehicle or that vessel. So for you, what would you say is your purpose?
So I absolutely believe one of my quotes that I have in one of my books is the way people leave my presence, how they feel after they have left my presence. And my desire is always that they leave feeling encouraged and inspired. So I think for me, that's like more success than any monetary gain that I could actually acquire. Because to be able to impress a soul, money can temporarily fix things, but to impress a soul where now part of your legacy is embedded in someone's brain, that's pretty dope. So
Mm,
I think that that's to me what success is all about.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. There's so much there. Yeah, like it's being able to really just form a connection, that just really moves someone that otherwise maybe would not have been moved, or it just it's like when somebody has that aha moment, or they like it clicks and you're like, I was there with you and we were doing it together, and it just feels so fulfilling, feels so satisfying. Yeah,
Yeah.
so much there. Okay, so on your journey to, figuring out your purpose, what are some of the mindsets or beliefs that you had to break up and let go of in order to like finally say, hey, this is what I'm called to do?
I believe um, it's like a catch-22. So I was raised in a Christian environment, like from birth. All right, so I know the Bible back and forth. Not so much anymore, but I had to like open my mind and my heart to trying to understand a little bit of everything,
Mhm.
and not to dive too deep on one side or the other, but just know that I have a relationship with who I believe is God to me. And I'm always going to remember my ancestors. I'm going to remember, anything else, my whole team. That's what I call it, is my team. But once I kind of just stood back a little bit and just reevaluated what I was, raised to believe, I think that's when my awakening really started to happen. And I believe that's when I really started to understand what love is. So I I'm not ungrateful for, how I was raised, and I'm not ungrateful for Christianity either. But
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I do know who God is, So, and that's the part where I was saying earlier about believing and understanding what you can't see. Like none of us can see God, but yet we believe.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you wake up
Yeah.
every day and you step on your feet and you're not even thinking twice about like, oh my goodness, I might not stand, but we have that unequivocal faith and we still move. So like
Yeah.
until we start seeing that and realizing that and being thankful and grateful for those little moments that we think are supposed to happen all the time, it's just
Mhm.
I don't know. That's why I try to stay in a state of grateful gratitude.
Mhm.
So that's probably when my journey began for me.
Nice. That makes sense. Yeah, like really embracing and going inward in that way. And it's interesting you say that because like I know there's some people that, it's really hard to like fathom that there's, another force or the universe or God, whatever people call it for themselves. It's hard to fathom something beyond themselves. But like if you think about it, even when you get up and you turn the light switch on, we expect the light to work. We don't expect the light not to work. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of weird, right? Like that's crazy faith, in my opinion, because that's really strange to expect this little thing to turn on the whole system,
And how
So
often do the light bulbs burn? You know what I mean? That only happens like once every 10 years,
exactly,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive to me. I love that. Um, okay, and so you had to like really, kind of step back and open your mind a little bit. Were there any other like beliefs or mindsets that like kind of held you back into like, stepping into your purpose a little bit more, or was it that the main thing that you know?
I, I believe like I believe like I was birthed with my purpose and I never strayed away from it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I also believe that had I not been under the covering of some type of spirituality from birth, that would have led me away from my purpose. So like
Mm,
everything that happened was supposed to happen in order for me to stay in line with my purpose. I just feel more confident in my purpose because now I have a true relationship. Now I have, not this you're gonna die or go to hell type of thing. It's
yeah.
more so like I said, I've read the Bible many, many times, front to back. And for
Mhm.
me, it's always translated what love is and the
Yeah.
meaning of love. It may translate something different from everyone, for everyone else,
Mhm.
but I do recommend if you do want to read the Bible and if that's your method of having a relationship with God, pray before and ask God to please open your eyes to what He wants you to understand from the passages that you read, because that's what I did, and that's how I feel like I understand love. You know,
Mhm.
as I always like to say, I'm not perfect at it. I don't want to be perfect, but I know the tools and I know better. So that makes me be a little bit more hesitant to speak right away. When I want to react versus just being a little quiet. Because this tongue that we have is like we can literally kill a soul. And I don't want to have any souls on my hands because of my mouth. So it's just something we all should think about. You know,
Yeah.
maybe the world would be a little bit more calm, definitely more quiet, if we all just took some time to think before we speak and not always try to go for the jugular. You know,
Yeah.
just because our pride and ego got crushed.
That's so true. That's so true. So I know you said that you were birthed with your purpose, which I believe we all are. But what like was there a moment where you had like the recognition of, okay, you said you got more confident. So like where were those moments where you got more confident? Was there like a
I got
specific
confident because I actually had time to really reflect. You know,
Mhm.
you have to get by yourself.
Yeah.
And one thing I did notice is that once I looked in the mirror, I couldn't stand what I saw. And I'm not talking about physical features, it was my soul I couldn't stand. That's when I really, really knew that you need to stop being distracted by stuff. Maybe your distraction is different from others, but for me personally, my distraction was watching that TV and listening to the radio. So once I took those away, my purpose became more clear. So that's just my road. You know, everybody's road is a
Mm.
little different. So
Listen, we just had an Instagram live literally on Monday about this very thing. I was like, if you can't, stand yourself or be alone, there's a reason. And, if you don't like you, then how are you going to manifest these purpose aligned friendships that we keep talking about? So, yeah, that's real. And that's why sometimes like, I don't know, when I first started getting comfortable with like addressing some of my stuff, it was those moments when I was looking in the mirror and I couldn't look at myself. And so I really encourage everyone listening to really start trying to get some of that alone time. Because that's where it's at. Yeah, you cracked something. That's
yeah,
good.
it's you also like open up that third eye, you
Yes.
know, and that's the way that God, your maker, creator, or whoever you believe actually can speak through you, comfort you, and give you the tools and that confidence that you yourself don't have. So
Hmm.
I have to attribute, and I'm so thankful that these things happen. I've lost a lot of friendships, and I always wondered why, but it's for this very moment like we're having today. You know, so would I ever want to have those relationships back in my life? It doesn't matter. I don't wish them any ill harm or anything, but my desire would be for them to see the error in their ways and to really see who I really am. That they so much loved, you know, and that's another thing too. I can't really hate anybody because in those friendships, we we did things for each other. And I can never forget that. You know, so like when you had my back, how can I hate you?
Yeah.
You know? So even though those relationships are severed, I can't actually hate them, you know? If I
Hmm.
want them back, I don't know. We haven't gone there yet, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible. My sister and I were just having this conversation because we've both been divorced, and one of the things that like I made a joke, so she knows I don't like divorce parties because I just think it's I don't know if you're gonna have a divorce party, you can celebrate maybe like a new start for yourself. But like the bashing of the person that you were with, to me, there's something weird about that. Even if like there are some abusive relationships and I get it and I've been there, but like I don't know, we were with that person at one point. There was a time where we needed each other for whatever reason in our lives. And I don't know, it just drives me crazy. I hate I hate divorce parties negative divorce parties with a passion. But it's true, like we needed each other at a point and we did stuff for each other, and we can celebrate people, experience people, and still have a clean ending. It doesn't have to be messy for it to end. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be nasty. So I really appreciate that. Um, okay, so some of those friendships that you kind of had to part ways with, what do you feel like the impact was on your life once you started, making different decisions about your friendships?
Oh, it was devastating. It was definitely devastating because we're not talking about 1, 2 year friendships. We're talking about like high school all the way up until like we were adults. Like I was there in the hospital room when you had your baby. Well, not literally, but like I came the day after. You know,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know, for those reasons, it's not like something. It took a while for me to overcome those, um, but I guess that's life. You know, I don't know. It's life. It does do something to you. Well, it does do something to me with trusting people. Um, and I would say, like, I have a real hard time trusting people, like in an intimate way. Like, I could talk to people all day, every day, not a problem. We could go back and forth and encourage each other, not a problem. But when it comes to me giving you a part of my soul, because we do in relationships, friendships, relationships, whatever, you give a little piece of your soul to somebody.
You
It's
do.
like that's a real tender spot. I reserve that for you, and if that breaks, it's just like it's a trauma. And having time to be by yourself to actually or kind of heal from that. It takes time, and just thinking about it now is like it's still a little hard, even though it's been years. It's still a little tiny hard, but I can't allow that to sever how I view other people. So,
Hmm.
but I believe as you get older, the designs of friendships are a little different. My friendship circle are the people that I do vending events with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
let's keep it the vending things. Like we know Joy as the inspirational person. She's funny, da 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 da. But as far as those close knit friendships that I've had, I can only count like one or two people. And
Yeah.
it's not on purpose. It's just that's how life is, I guess. What
Yeah.
do you think?
I mean, you only need one, two, or three, really. Like, I mean, there's power in the number three, so you and two other people is significant. Especially people that pour into you, because, like, for instance, I think a fair amount of friends. But there's a friend in particular. Well, there's a couple of friends in particular, but like me and this one friend, we leave a lot of voice notes to each other every day, and the way she talks about me and the way I talk about her, we both almost like always start crying on our side of the phone
Aw.
because it's just like there's a power in hearing somebody else. Like, yeah, you might affirm yourself and you say your affirmations out loud, but hearing a friend speak that into you, I told her,
Wow.
once I get my next husband, he's gonna have a lot of work to do because my friends treat me really good. So if you can't treat me better than my friends, like my friends treat me really, really good. So I think there's significance in three people that are really in sync and alignment. And that doesn't mean that, you and your other two friends are friends, but like, you have your tribe that are pouring into you. There's something to that because you bounce back a lot faster from things, when
Yes.
you have the right people around you.
That takes a lot of vulnerability too. So I have to
Yes.
be a little bit more vulnerable with
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
it's true. That's one thing that she and I have been working on. We've been going through a couple of courses and we've really been tapping into the power of actually expressing our emotions in the moment and having clear conversations about those emotions. And that's really like shifted a lot of things for us, because a lot of us are guarded because we've been through some stuff, but being able to clearly express your emotions, there's something powerful about that. And then other people express back. Like it's something about being able to express those things. It's different. Yeah. So were there any like friendship norms that you had to part with when thinking about forming new friendships or bonds?
Girl. The norm was we go out and hang out every weekend, or I'll be at your house.
Yeah.
I would no, literally, I would be at my friend's house and we would just watch TV. So I believe, honestly, just having this conversation, I believe those friendships had to be severed because I would not literally be here with you. There would be no Be the Difference clothing. So while it was painful, um, heartbreaking, and just feeling like wow, like part of your life is gone. Um, I would not change it because the amount of people that I get to encourage and inspire, and vice versa, it outweighs, and I love humanity most of the time. And my my biggest purpose is to like really convince people more so that there's a lot more good, and our world is a lot better than what media tells you. That's why we got to turn the TV off,
Hmm.
because your world, your actual world, is your immediate circumference. That
Yes.
means we can see what's going on in other countries, but you're more effective in your 50-mile radius or 25-mile radius, 5-mile radius. That is your world. And if you can affect your world, you never know where the people that you speak to now, where they end up later. They could be
Yeah.
our next VP, they could be the next billionaire, but those same people that we've encouraged can actually do something better and show examples to the ones that they go to more.
Hmm.
So I would rather be who I am right now and, gain a couple of people, gain a few more people that I can trust versus having a comfort to go into someone's house and as a ritual, go into someone's house and watching TV, watching the kids grow. Like it's sad, but I would rather do that. I would rather touch more lives than just the life that I grew up with. So I
Yeah.
guess in the
Wow.
long run, I'm all good.
Yeah, you are. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's really powerful what you said. So every guest that where I've asked them, what was the impact on their life after parting with those types of friendships that, were not aligning with your purpose. Everybody says devastated. So I just want to make sure I call that out for people listening. We all are devastated when these things happen, right?
Yes.
But then we all look back later and we're like, oh my God, had I have stayed here, this would not have been my life. And same, like 100%. I would not have had some of the ideas. I would have not had the courage to like break up with certain businesses or careers that I was, chasing. Like I just would not be here. So, yeah, so we all get devastated, but then we're all really excited actually once we see the outcome of parting with some of these relationships, these friendships, these career, like all these things that just aren't aligning with us, right? So I have
And
to
here's
call
a
that out.
caveat to that too. While we had separated from those relationships, maybe we were holding them back too in some aspects of their purpose.
Very
So it's
possibly.
twofold. So like I can't feel too bad. I can't feel
No.
too bad because maybe I was the issue too.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
I know I was the
So
issue a lot of times. I love that. It's true. It is twofold. That's why it's really powerful to take the stance that you mentioned earlier about like really just, you love them, but you're just moving on. It's not, there's no need to bash. We're just moving on. It's all good.
yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So it's your turn. Is there any type of friendship question that you would like to ask back to me that you
I
want to get a different
do.
perspective on? Okay.
So how do you become a friendship magnet? Yeah.
Oh, a friendship magnet. So that's an easy one, actually. Becoming a friendship magnet is just about walking in your purpose, and also really becoming the best friend to yourself. So that time that you talked about where, you spent time alone, you spent time reflecting. And I know a lot of us aren't ready to be alone yet, and that's okay. But at least getting those moments where we are by ourselves. We could still have friends, but being aware that those things will change as we start to become better friends to ourselves. So defining what activities we enjoy doing and doing some of those things by ourselves. Like I'm a huge solo traveler. I travel by myself and sometimes some of my friends meet me up or tag along, but like I love doing that by myself or going to the gym. I like doing that alone. Like so finding those things, getting closer to yourself and then you'll start to attract people that are in alignment with what you're trying to do. So like one of my friends, we competed on the Apple Watch for a fitness challenge. And so like you attract people as you start to do more of what makes you happy and what aligns with where your life is going and your purpose. So figuring those two things out, I think is the first step to become a friendship magnet. Because then you're in plain sight where people can see you and draw to you. If you're hiding, they can't find you.
Yeah, that's true. I'm very shy. So, like, how would you recommend someone like myself who's shy and, like, whenever I go somewhere, people don't believe it, but wherever I go somewhere, I tend to, like, kind of go up to the side and then
Mhm.
people come to me and start talking and I'm fine. But how would one combat not waiting until people come to them?
Oh, that's really good. So I'm an ambivert. So I kind of lean either way. I can be introverted or extroverted. It depends on the circumstance and my energy levels at the time. So I have a little bit of both. So I get where you're coming from. I would say that the world needs more introverts. And allowing people to come to you is actually not a bad thing. I feel like it makes space to invite people in. So I wouldn't necessarily change that. What I would do though is go to places where you're doing something where there's like an activity, like where it is group centric. So like one of my favorite things to do is karaoke. And there's always a lot of people doing that at the same time. Like you can't really go karaoke by yourself unless you trap yourself in a room and do it alone. I don't know why you would do that, but like going to activities where you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and be around people and talk to people and mix with them. But I still think it's okay to let people come to you because the world needs more introverts where they're listening and they're doing the active part of the listening and communicating back and reflecting good positive energy back. So I don't think you necessarily need to change your personality to make friends. You'll attract the people that align with your vibration. Like, I don't know why, but for me, when I'm in my introverted moments and I'm out and about, I always attract people to me even when I'm not trying to attract people to me. So it's something to getting your own energy like aligned. It's something to walking in your purpose, and quietly smiling at people is good. Like not being afraid to make eye contact doesn't mean you have to speak, but a smile and eye contact lets people know that you're inviting and you're warm, even if you're not ready to like go up to them and talk to them. So yeah, I don't think you should change that though. I think just smile and you'll be fine. Smile. You have a nice smile. You have a really beautiful smile.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, you'll be
That's one
fine.
thing. I always get comments about my smile, and I'm like, even when I'm not smiling, they're like, "Oh, you have a nice smile," and I'm like, I was mad as hell right then and there, but okay, kind of brightened my day now. Now I got to go into character. Hi.
That means your spirit was smiling. Your energy was
Yeah,
smiling. That's what
that's
it
a
means.
good thing. Thank God.
That's so
Thank
true.
God. How often would you say, oh, is there ever a point in time where you felt like your friendships were too close?
Yes. Oh yes. Yes. Very much so. Yeah. Um, to the point where like they were all up in my business. And I was like, why are you all up in my business? Why are you like I could talk on the phone. I'm there with the best of them, but like I do not disturbs. I have boundaries so I can recharge, and there was just a friend of mine that was just constantly like even dialing through the do not disturbs. And I was like, hey, so the reason why I have do not disturb set up is because I don't want to talk right now. And if I do
Wow.
see your missed call, I will call you. So now my phone just stays on do not disturb, which everybody knows. And I call you back if you call me and I've missed your call. And very rarely does it come off of do not disturb. But yeah, there's been a time where it's been like too close and I had to reestablish some boundaries. And, the thing about boundaries is if you reestablish them and they don't respect the boundaries, then it's up to me, right, to make that decision of if I'm going to be that person's friend or not. Most times the boundaries have been respected. There have been a couple times where I have to just say, hey, like, you know what? I'm gonna have to block you for a little bit because you're not understanding and you're disrespecting my time and you're not gonna make me feel stressed out on my own cell phone. My sister says that you're not gonna stress me out on my own phone. So we gotta just part ways for a little bit. But yeah, I've had some experiences like that where I'm like, oh my God, like this is a little too much for me. You're and I'm very secure attachment style. So for people who are not in that, I when I wasn't completely like focused on healing and stuff, I was attracting a lot of anxious attachment style people and a lot of avoidant attachment style people. And so just by me like, being myself, um, I would get into a lot of like people trying to control me. And one of my core values is autonomy. And so once I start to feel controlled, back in the day, did not interact or react very well. But now I've gotten
Mhm.
to a point where I can communicate, like, hey, this is feeling a little suffocating. Hey, this is feeling like you're encroaching on my boundaries. Hey, like, we need to shift this behavior. But yeah, like, oh, feeling controlled is just, I don't know, it just like, it's like free will to me is one of the biggest signs of love, right? Like when somebody gives you free will or you give them free will and they show you how they want to show up in your life. I feel like that is the biggest sign of love when you give that and you see how people respond, you know?
I love that. I'm sitting here just saying to myself, girl, you need to start speaking up more because I'm not, I just be so soft, like, oh,
Hmm.
So maybe that's maybe that's why uh my friendship circle is so small because my heart is too big and too tender, and I guess I need to speak up more too, and I haven't reached that level yet.
Hmm.
Because I was just like I could never tell somebody you're encroaching on my in my circle like uh, what you would just said. Um, when you're overstepping your boundaries, I could never say that to somebody. I would just not talk to them.
Yeah, well,
I would just not talk to them.
there's still some people where like I've been guilty of like not handling it in the best way. Like there's still, so it doesn't just go away, but like it's a muscle, you know. So I exercise it, but there's still some people where I'm like, oh, I dread the conversation. Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, can I just come up with something? Like, you know, like I still go through that stuff, you know. But there are times too where like it's okay to not respond. Like I had set the intentions with this person that I was well, that was supposedly courting me, but I don't feel like the way that they recorded me was right based on all the conversations we had and like based on the things that I had said and that they had said. And I just felt like, you know, the conversations aren't going anywhere. We're not talking about anything of substance. Why am I continuing this conversation? I'm just going to stop responding. I stop responding and they stop responding. Okay. It's that, like sometimes when you've had those conversations enough about like what you expect and what they expect and things still aren't like really lining up, it's okay. There's times where you don't need a conversation. But if you really care about the person, like it's deeper, you guys have been friends for a while, or there's more than just the courting phase, I feel like it's, you know, if we love someone, we should try to have the conversation, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah, as we all will. Like I'm like I said, I'm still me every day. I'm still working on it myself, you know. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We get the butterflies, we get the bubble guts sometimes. My stomach is so reactive to like to that kind of stress. I'm like stomach is turning. I'm like, oh, I gotta say something. Um, and you know, we talked about a little bit about some of like the universe, the spiritual stuff, right? And there are some people where it is actually best to avoid the conversation because I remember like two instances where I've gone to have a difficult conversation. And as I'm starting to have the difficult conversation, like, I don't know, it feels like someone's reaching into my back and twisting my
Mm,
spine. And the person has been so concentrated where I'm like, oh, this is an energy like war. This is like
wow,
we're having a battle right now. Okay, get my message across and get out of this as fast as possible because something is
wow.
going on here that's spiritual and I can't combat it for too long. I can't hang in it too long. So there are some times where you will recognize people's energy. I'm also an empath, so I'm very sensitive to other people's energy. So it's Zoom has been a godsend for me. But sometimes you just got to get out of those situations and you don't know what it is, but there's some type of battle or something going on behind the scenes, you know?
That's crazy. Speaking on central on that, I've always like in dating, I've always said, I did the prayer that I wish I never prayed. And I'd be like, God, if he's not supposed to be in my life, then make him go away. And then out of the blue, like weeks go by, oh my goodness, I forgot all about you. Like, and I'm like, I thought I liked him.
I know. I hate that, but I always like, hey God, if it's in your will, and he's like,
Yeah,
it's
like
not,
you
it's
just be
not.
hesitant, like your will not with mine. Your will is not lining up with mine. You're gonna have to make it clear why this don't work or why it can't work. We're gonna have a
Uh,
conversation. Then I'm gonna try to convince you as to why it can work. And then,
that part.
your team will be like, no, Joy, I got a higher purpose for you. There's something better. And I'm like, but what? There can't be anything better. Like I really, really, really
I know.
uh,
Every time. And but here's the thing, every time he delivers. So I'm like, you know,
need it.
I'm
And
just
it's
gonna
fast too. It's not like how like you be walking around in the desert, waiting for your answer like about the job. You can wait for years.
Mhm.
About like some money or something. It'll be years. But when it comes to relationships and people, bam, it just be
It's
done. Just like that. It's like, well, dang, let me at least, get comfortable in the whole, breaking up or,
That
something.
part.
Let me just enjoy a little fruit, little lust
Mhm.
here and there. But,
Right.
it's like, no,
If only
no
there was a
lusting.
pill for breaking up.
Right. Let me just
I
get
just
mad
take a
at
pill.
myself and like be more traumatic than I could have been had I not.
Oh man, that's so true. There's so many things that I've been saved from that I didn't even know I was being saved from. It's hilarious. Like it's just every time I think about it, I'm like, whoo, okay. All right. I see you. I see what you was doing. Game set match point. All right. Like, you know. Well, this has been awesome, and we'll definitely have to have you come back again. I feel like, yeah, this was really this felt good. So we will definitely have you back. And thank you for being on, and thank you to everybody that was listening tonight. Well, I don't know what time it's going to be when you listen, but we're recording tonight. So thank you for listening, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.